to, but settlement comes a day after.
So for the business person,
so
a day after is when you're receiving your money.
A day after is when you receive more money. For as a fintech guy who saw opportunity in that, I want my merchant to have their money same day. So they pull out funds and made it happen and develop. I don't want to use the word algorithm again, but software
algorithm
system.
Is just like a language.
It's just like a language, but software system, like solution platform that allows that customer, once they receive a transaction notification that says this transaction is successful, they credit the merchant instantly. And of course, even if you are a merchant, you'll be willing to pay convenience fee because you don't have to wait the next day. Imagine if you have a supermarket and you're grossing like 5 million every day and you need to restock. You don't have to wait till the next day around 4 p.m. before you get all your settlement.
And that convenience fee is your fee.
And that convenience fee is my fee. It's their fee. These guys came together because they have actually been partnered. But of course, there are licenses that you must get. For most of these services, if you want to provide it, you must also have certifications that you must also have to be able, either you want to hold data or you want your partner banks to be the one to hold data for you. So those guys were able to secure those licenses and they dive into the agency banking business. And boom, it was a success. So when agency banking became a success, because they were using the regular terminals, not the Android terminal, those regular. But when the business, has evolved, they thought, let's make our terminal Android. Beyond just cash in, cash out services, now we can do bills payments. That's a value-added service.
Okay, those POS guys started doing bills payments.
Can do airtime.
Even your decoders.
And before you know it now, they're going to go into, maybe you want to do your hotel bookings, your flight booking. So that is what I tell people who want to go into fintech. You must be able to know what exactly you want to do. There's a whole lot of processes, a lot of things that you want to do. Do you just want to do cash in, cash out transaction? You want to do bills payment, or you want to do proper bank? Because and when the likes of some banks, some new generation microfinance bank came and they called themselves digital bank, what were they doing? They were only using fintech, leveraging on the license of the regular microfinance bank, not even regional, maybe a state microfinance bank, and run a digital business that covered the whole of the entire nation. And it was successful. So people, okay, we told the bank I worked with, I said, can we do account opening in online real time? The risk guy. No, there will be risky, there will be this, there will be that. We've dragged that for a long time. And when that platform came up, do you know that all the documents you submitted online at that time, my bank will still ask that somebody will take those documents and still go and do physical verification. But what has happened today is seamless. People don't need to do that. So there are other service providers who now provide identity services. So as a startup, as a fintech guy, you can do that. So you don't.
So you just connect with the service provider.
Just connect with the service provider. Yeah. You can, the photograph BVN in your valid identification. They can actually be ticked by this service provider. There are also service providers that are also government regulated and connected to the government. For example, your BVN is powered by the government, your NIN. So those allows you to be able to verify that this, and it's just with the codes, the numbers, the verified numbers, to verify that this is the same person. And you also have the bills, payment company who you can also connect with. So that's another service, because a lot of people will feel, oh, when I say I'm fintech, everything I have to do must be financial. But by the time you are aiding financial transaction, you're also a fintech.
That's interesting. Aiding it is also being part of the business, or dealing in the business. Let's look at the challenges. What are some of the problems? Why are we not seeing it grow as much as it is? One of those challenges, one of those things I've seen, problems I've seen, is fintech and the regular banks. It's as if they are two, we like call it enemies. We see them. Some banks have actually integrated some of these other fintech companies into it as part of it. So aside this one, and of course this also is going to be a mention, I would appreciate too, some sort of elaboration on that. What are some of the other challenges that more fintech company, business would encounter in Nigeria? Okay,
so for fintech, you really need to have a lot of resources. Resources in terms of time, human resources to be able to build your infrastructure. And there's something we call an API who allows different service provider to communicate with each other. So when I say as an identity provider and you as a fintech, you guys need to interact and integrate. That integration system is actually using the APIs to do that. So
what's the API?
So what it means is that I don't. You can actually Google. It's an acronym. But I'm used to just calling it API.
Okay.
Yeah. So what it means is that your system has been built to communicate to another external system, but in a certain way that you built it, with a certain codes that you've written.
That
so
will allow you
only you communicate to.
Okay.
Yeah, have access. So if I'm going to share that connectivity with another party, because there's a whole lot, it's actually broad. We have the B2B, business to business, B2C, business to consumer. So there's a whole lot. So, but if you want to connect to a B2B, which is business to business, I'm providing service to my customers. You are also providing service to your customer, but both of us want to come as business to business. Yeah. So when you integrate that part, you need to study their codes. And sometimes you need to rewrite their codes to suit what your own existing codes are before that integration works. So you need that, you know that you have a lot of, no, they're actually codes.
Okay, codes. Algorithms are different from codes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Algorithm is just
learning the language.
Algorithm is just to understand a pattern of transaction, business transaction, to be able to, you know. So, but these are codes. So if that happens, you need to sit down, right? So there's a lot of time that you will spend writing your codes. And do you have sufficient electricity in Nigeria to even sit on your system for maybe like a 40-hour to do that? So
that's what it takes to write a code.
It takes even more at some point. And if you are not also, you know, have some requisites, maybe know-how, technical know-how for some side, you may need to also invite somebody who knows.
Of course,
better.
but this writing of code, I mean, it's really deep.
It's deep. So you may see, when the development is going on for a particular product, you may see that there are 5-6 developers working on the same. And you know, people who are financial experts will know that you have the back end and you have the front end. So the back end is the engine room that connects your services to the other business person. The front end is when you open your app and you see those fine, lovely, enter your PIN, and you see the thing do,
the back end are just those languages or something like
exactly.
those things that are,
so you have
are really confusing.
So you have the UX, the UI UX guy who would have also to build your front end to actually be able to consummate what your engine is saying, what your back end is saying. So there's a whole lot of that has to be done with you. Then you also need to now understand the financial infrastructure which you want to operate, because there are certain things that CBN will not allow you to do. And there are also certifications that you must be able to have to do certain things, and you must also have, you know, the requisite licenses to also operate. And because of, I don't want to go into the political and all that, because of course it cannot be proven anywhere. Yeah. But of course the policies of CBN should also be able to give fintech the enabling environment to be able to do that. But there's always the fear of the hacking, you know, system downtime,
yes, whatever. Almost, you probably took that out of my mouth.
But there is no waterproof system all around the world.
So you mean that hacking cannot be like completely,
because as you are developing your system, there are other people who are sleeping and waking up every day to see how they want to bring your system down. So you must be able to have all the security, the security that people had built, that you must be able to buy maybe on your cloud system, so that everything you've worked for overnight, you will not just see that you can't even have access. You've seen that even on social media, people's pages that they've grown to a particular number of followers are just hacked overnight, and they can never recover it again. It's gone forever.
So there are people whose function of duty is just to see how to bring down.
Exactly. So you must also build a watertight system that would not allow this to happen. And that would happen when all stakeholders will sit together to understand where are we being hit by these people. But what has happened lately is the fact that when everybody is hit, they cover their wounds and hold it and look to the outside world. We are fine, we are okay. Well, but everybody is having one hit or the other.
Okay, recently I had a financial transaction. I had an issue with one of the banks, and my money was hacked, you know, and all of that. And probably is one of the banks, and all of them. I'm sure probably you'd have come in contact with this bank. So money was hacked, and a lot of people also had that issue. In fact, someone said some things, almost what you said, that some of these guys, provide information who have jackpot. They tend to provide this information, and this particular bank has a built-in infrastructure. It appears there are banks that don't have the built-in, and so it's more difficult for someone to come from the outside to try to decode or to learn this whatever,
exactly.
And so because these guys were not around, and of course they could easily license or give another person, so that's why they started seeing this problem with the accounts of this bank. I wouldn't mention the name of this bank.
I would say that the stakeholders were, as always, they've always been greedy, and they've always been making the youth. And the youth of today, let me tell you what has happened even in banking system. When we joined banking system, there were maybe like 3 levels or 4 levels before you get to a manager level. And these same people who are now the EDs, the GMDs of this bank, they enjoyed that grace. But immediately they got into position, they started slashing those levels and slashing and slashing. So you will see where they call ET1, ET2, contract staff 1, contract staff 2, contract staff. So there's a whole lot of, trying not to make people to grow.
To grow to that level
where they are. Because they want to just remain there forever.
And widening the gap.
Yeah. And these guys who are the one who built all the system, who worked overnight, they can't even because codes they're like inspirations. So it's an intellectual property of the person who is building the code. That's the truth. If a developer builds your code today and you feel, some people can actually read code, some people can, but if you have a very smart developer, you may not be able to read his code forever. And so it means that guy, you need to bring this guy to be a stakeholder in your business if you want to really do good business. Because if you feel you could do away with him, he says, okay, fine, that's good. And he goes away.
That's the end. And you'll be struggling with infrastructure.
Exactly. And what he does is just the same thing that he has, because he has stored it somewhere. He gathered the same thing, sees and imagine
business.
Investors will not like this part. But they see an imagined person who wants to do business and say, I can do this thing for you now. I did it to a XB and it works. And they say, oh yeah, sell it. And the guy sells it. And that's all.
And the other business is struggling.
And the other is struggling on how to understand how to do it. So those guys are, disgruntled. They've jackpot. Things are happening. Do you know that there are apps today that can give fake alerts?
Yeah.
And it's going to fetch online real time your bank balance and add the money to it and give a fake alert. Yeah.
I'm getting scared. Please
no, you shouldn't get scared.
We just need to bring you back. This is your last statement. I'm sure a lot of people are like, how do I know this thing? Which one is real? Which one is fake? I mean, this is important. This is why we're going cashless. We need to really understand these things. I mean, falling a victim is really not funny, especially if your money, if that's, the last sugar in your tea or something. You don't want to miss it at all. I mean, there's really this time. I'm looking at the time and I'm like, wow, where did the time go? But finally, what does it take to set up, basically, like, if you want to start a fintech?
Okay.
What are you looking at in terms of funding, in terms of money you need to put down? Okay,
for fintech, there are ways if you want to go about it. There are basic license of maybe a PSSP license that you need to actually go to the CBN platform and look at the various, and it is so detailed on what kind of service you want to provide. If you want to just be maybe a card processing or acquiring, you probably will just need a PTSP license. So there are license grades for what you need.
What does it cost to acquire one at least of these licenses?
So it all depends, but the least I know, maybe like a microfinance, or the least a tier 1 and all that is 50 million.
What did you say?
50 million. So
for who? For one person?
But so for you as a fintech person who wants to go into fintech, so what I advise them to usually do is to leverage on partners who already have these licenses, and don't be greedy. Just
pay them what they want.
Yes, have this partnership, because people they've built these things and it has worked for them and it is working. So for you as a new emerging business, you don't have to necessarily start from scratch, because let me tell you, development sometimes of this product may take 1 or 2 years before a product is tested and confirm that it can actually do what it's supposed to. So why do you want to do all that? So you probably will need to partner with existing licensed partners. So, but basically, just know how best you want to, what you want to run with. I can't actually, you know, complete it.
There's really a lot, honestly, fintech. I'm sure everybody's like, wow, wow, wow. And I mean, I've really been exposed to a lot of information. I guarantee you that I will bring him back. Ayola Olaide is going to be coming back to talk about, we're going to continue this discussion, especially the hacking part. I'm so interested in that particular part because I think we need to know, and I myself, you know, as to how to, you know, not to fall victim and prey to some of these whiz guys, you know, moving around. But I also have you know that aside, of course, the fintech thing, he's also a performing, you know, musician. Really interesting. So he also sings. I mean, that's really a good one. I thought he had different sides to this guy, and this is just one of those other sides alongside other things, you know. Maybe next time I'm going to have you sing, you know, one line or two lines. I'll join. You know, I sing as well.
Oh, great.
That's another part, you know.
So we'll have a karaoke session.
I'm telling you, a business karaoke session. Oh my God, it's going to be so interesting and fun to watch. But thank you so much. Really, 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 really enjoyed every bit of the show this morning.
Thank you.
Your expose was just too on point. Yeah, I'm so excited. And like I said, we're going to have another discussion to have you back on this table. To do more justice to what you've started.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah, looking good in red. And I know the financial decision, but I'm going to keep quiet. Let's leave it in the bag. But have a fantastic day, and of course, we'll keep talking.
Thank you. Nice to be here. And I'll definitely be honored to be back as well. Ah,
you have your word outside, and your word is your bond.
Yeah, because there's so much that we have not even, you know, dealt with. Yeah. But your comment section and your for whatsoever, you know, you can always reach out to me, and I'll do service to that.
All right, that's
for
interesting.
Free of charge because of you.
Don't worry, we'll leave that one. So you don't like to check for me. But my director is already breathing my ear. Cindy is over, so I calm down. I'm closing the show now. All right, guys, fantastic one of the show today. I'm sure you really enjoyed every bit of it, and information was so on point. If there are questions you have, of course, leave your questions across the socials. All right, we'll get him, of course, to respond to it as well. If you want to communicate with us, call us after the show. Blah, 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 blah. But of course, this is the end of today's segment. I'm going to see you same time, same station for this business tomorrow. I mean, on Thursday, not tomorrow. I definitely will be here for Morning Rave, but on Thursday is when we're going to have the next business segment. So join me once again. Keep safe, be well, be happy, and make more money. Until I see you on Thursday, always remember that your business is always our business.